After back and forth match against Cloud9, I'm here with I Will Dominate to talk about a number of different things. First,
I will dominate.
no, I said I will dominate.
Okay.
High will dominate. High looked pretty strong in that match. What did you
So
think?
good. I actually think High is like if you took off the nameplates and you're just like, all right, you're playing against like another LCS jungler this game. I would have just thought it was another LCS jungler. I thought he played like really solidly. He actually told me he didn't know how the Rek'Sai Gragas matchup goes, but his playstyle is just kind of like going super ham early, which is what you're supposed to do as Rek'Sai. You can get like an advantage over the Gragas. You farm faster. You're a little bit stronger in early fights. So you have like an advantage in that respect. And I think he was really good at like pushing that, like pressuring the map and making stuff happen. So I actually think he played like really well that game. And I expected that. I even said on my Twitter that I like expected him to just make the team better because like when you're in a rut like that and then you get a shot caller and somebody that has a lot of confidence come into your team, it just makes you feel like you're gonna win again. So actually I think it was a decent change for them and they felt way stronger this game than they did before.
Yeah. So do you think that if High stuck with them and just became their jungler, he'd just be fine as an LCS jungler? He's at that point where he can just jungle like the best of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I like because jungle's not a role where you can really exploit somebody one on one. It's not like, oh, well, I like have more experience as a jungler than you, so like now in this match, I'm just gonna walk into the jungle and kill you. Like, that's not how jungling works. It's all about matchups. It's all about like how the lanes go and stuff like that, and where you can fight. So I think that he's a smart guy. Like he definitely knows what is going on in the game. So knows how to pressure advantages just naturally, like whether he's a mid laner, jungler, or anything like that. And I always thought his playstyle was more kind of jungle oriented where he really prioritized vision and he was super big on roaming when he was a mid laner, which is just things that help you as a jungler because you have to have that mindset of like what lanes can I pressure, like where can I go and how do I like advance the game. So yeah, I think he'd be like a good jungler. And I remember I used to jungle versus him all the time and I thought he was a good jungler back when he was on the original Cloud9. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for High and I think that he's like a really great player.
So much of what people have said is that the issues Cloud9 had before were like shot calling issues and that kind of thing, and that part of that was because High was such a good shot caller. What did you think of their decision making in that game?
It just felt like old Cloud9, like that turret dive bottom. I feel like they wouldn't have made that play before. They super hard committed to like a 5v5 bot lane, and they won it slightly, and then they just dove our team and just killed like three of us under turret. So that just felt like an old Cloud9 play where they would really punish you for making a mistake, and they also just acted on it extremely decisively. Like they all just poured it in and just fought to the death, which is old Cloud9. So yeah, actually, it was actually really shocking in game. Like I remember, like after the game was over, we're like, damn, they're so much better right now than last time we played them. Like we're like, damn, like they're actually super, super like solid. If they like practice with this lineup, I think they can easily get out of relegations and potentially make playoffs.
Now, what do you think of the fact that Meteos decided to leave? Because that is an interesting thing. He was such a well-known jungler. He says he wants to come back into the LCS some way. I mean, I don't know if that'll be with Cloud9 or with a different team, but as a jungler, what did you think of that?
I thought Meteos was really good, but I think that it was hard for him to like change his style, and it seemed like the team didn't respect his calls as much as they respected High's calls. So I think that stepping into that shot caller role just wasn't working out for them, and there needed to be a change. So like I still think that he's like a really good jungler. I would still say he's like a top four jungler in NA easily, but uh, just with that team chemistry, it didn't work. Like his style, their style, like the shot calling, just everything didn't mesh completely. So yeah, I definitely think something needed to change. I didn't think it had to be Meteos, but I think Meteos thought that would be probably the best decision for him to step down and them to just have like I guess their shot caller back.
What did you think of your guys' performance in that game as well? Because I felt like you guys put up a pretty good defense. It did seem like Cloud9 was doing a really good job, that they were much better, but you guys seem to do very well as well.
I actually think that we just weren't prepared for how active they were around the map like early game. That's kind of the opposite of how Cloud9 used to play. Before, even with High in the mid lane, they were like a low activity early game team that would just start ramping up the game like through vision. Like they wouldn't make that many aggressive like uncalculated plays. Not saying that they made uncalculated plays in this game, but they still made riskier plays that you wouldn't really assume from them. So we didn't have much time to prep for them. We didn't really know how they'd play. This is their first game on stage with this lineup. So it was really hard for us to predict how the game was going to play out. And they did things that were different than we expected. For example, the 4-man gank level 2. That's such a random play that's hard to predict. They gave the Alistar 2 off the Gromp. He came from one side. They had the whole team come from the other side, and they just went for like super hard kills early, and they were pressuring super hard early. So yeah, it was like kind of like a shock for us in game. We had to just like calculate how we're gonna come back in. We did have a stronger team fighting comp, but they were running us around the map with Fizz having teleport. They had Rek'Sai that has like a kind of like a global himself, and then they have TF with his teleport. So that's three different ways that they can manipulate the map to their advantage, which was hard for us to deal with. We kind of just had to wait for like a power spike or wait for them to do something aggressive, and then just capitalize on it and fight them at that moment. So we ended up getting pretty behind in the game, but we knew that if we got a good team fight, we could win it.
Now, kind of the final question for you is, I watched that game, and if High sticks around with C9, it does feel like they'll be in a much better place. Right before that, TDK looked really strong. Now having their main roster, no more subs. As a team that's been pretty much towards the top, and you guys had a slight dip recently, are you concerned at all that it seems like a lot of these teams that maybe were hanging out down at the bottom are starting to look a lot stronger?
It doesn't really concern me. Because we have such a large lead on them in terms of like games. Like we don't play Cloud9 again during the season anyway. We've already played them twice, so them getting stronger doesn't really affect us much. And then like TDK, we only play one more time, and it's really unlikely that they come and take our playoff spot. I think we only need to win 2 more games the entire split for them to not be able to catch us anymore. So I don't think that it impacts us as much as it impacts like the teammate enemy, the other teams that are around the bottom that are competing with them for relegation spots. I think that it really affects them more than us, and maybe Tip too.
Is there anything that you would like to say to any of the TL fans out there?
Thanks to all the TL fans for supporting us. We're trying to get better every week, and hopefully come playoffs we'll be able to put on a good show. And thanks to all of our sponsors, Alienware, HTC, Razer, HyperX, and Quest.
Thank you so much for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of our coverage of all things League of Legends at GameSpot.com/LOL.